So now coming to the prepared speech one for the day, which is by Shreya this side. I would like to introduce Shreya first. I think she has already been introduced as the sweetest girl on the floor, a pretty charming lady, etc. But what I know of Shreya is that she's one of the most intellectual girls around, and she has a great taste in music. So I would like to catch up with you later regarding that. Please welcome Shreya.
So, I'm the evaluator for Shreya. So, I will just read out the objectives and the timelines. So, Shreya, your objective is select a speech topic and determine its general and specific purposes. Organize the speech in a manner that best achieves those purposes. Ensure that beginning, body, and the conclusion reinforce the purpose which you have already specified. And project sincerity and conviction and control any nervousness which you may feel. Try not to use notes, but they are allowed. And your timeline is 5 to 7 minutes. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, the title of my speech is In Search of Happiness. Flowers gleam and glow, let your power shine. Make the clock reverse, bring back what once was mine. Heal what has been hurt, change the fate's design. Save what has been lost, bring back what once was mine. How many of you in this room had this thought to bring back once that belonged to you? Can be anything. Yeah. Can be a person, a thing, a feeling, a face. For me, it was my grandparents. I was 6 or 7 years old when my parents sat me down, told me I have to stay over at my uncle's place for a while. I did not understand why. I was baffled seeing people sobbing, running around. You see, as a kid, no one explains the concept of death to you. It's the elephant in the room nobody wants to talk about. And as a 7-year-old me, I was furious. I wanted to talk to this death god who took away my grandparents without my permission. I wanted to discuss the matter at hand. But alas, that never happened. I do not have memories of conversing with my grandparents, but all I have are these fleeting episodes which I can see through my mind's eye. I see my grandmother sitting in the veranda, braiding my sister's hair, and she's singing. She had a beautiful voice, my grandmother. Her voice, even if I close my eyes and think about it, it makes me calm, makes me happy. As far as my grandfather is concerned, well, I remember the walks we used to take to the park and the eventual candy buying ritual that we both had. My mother disapproved of this, but you know what? I and my grandfather had priorities right in life, and we always used to do it. But mostly I remember the warm hugs that he used to give me whenever I fell down or was in some trouble. It made me feel safe, that everything's all right in life. And then that's all I remember on my part. And then there are these legends that I hear from my family members about how my grandmother was the most beautiful woman in the village and how she had magic in her hands and every meal that she had cooked turned out to be delicious. And for my grandfather, I'm pretty sure he was a very good looking chap in the village as well. Nobody said that. But he was my grandfather after all, so yeah, he was. And I've heard that he was such a great leader that one smile of his would remove the creases on the foreheads of the people around him. That was my grandfather. I grew up listening to all of this, and I always wanted to be like them or look like them. I used to ask my mother about it, and her nods were always no. As if to tell me that the universe has stopped making men and women like that anymore. And I thought maybe not me, someone else in the family might resemble. And the nods kept on being negative. I was trying to hold on to a hope that I could find them somewhere in someone. But that never happened. And I was still mad at that death god, and I found no closure, and that's how I stepped into my adulthood. Fast forward, I was writing one of my most difficult exam, chemistry. You know, one of those exams that you are writing where deep inside you know you are in trouble, but you still pull out the all-nighter because you have to pass. Well, it was one of those days, and I was studying all night. At some point, I don't know when, my mother stepped into my room, and I think she saw the terror in my eyes and how petrified I was. And then she asked me, "Everything okay?" That's it. I broke down. And I don't know what happened next. I just remember that she came, she hugged me, and she said, "It's okay, even if you fail." Good to hear, yeah. But the thing that I realized was her voice calmed me down. And when she hugged me, I felt safe. Everything going to be all right. That's how I felt. The message took a time to hit. But eventually, when I grew up, I realized two things in my life. One, I do not have the power of Rapunzel to turn the clock around and bring back what once belonged to me. All I have is now. Two, I was searching for my grandparents in all the wrong places. Actually, they were present in maybe my father's playful banter, my mother's meaningful reprimands, my sister's cooking, my cousin's loop-sided grin, in the rains of the summer or in the breeze of the long drive. I never found them as a whole. Actually, their ways were scattered all around me, just waiting to be found. Back to the Toastmasters.